Morning, all. All right, so news today so far, and this could be a very busy day, or could end up being a quiet day, because this is the final day for qualifying offers. Nobody new is on waivers for the purpose of a buyout. Now, this is the first buyout window. There are other buyout windows that will take place during the offseason, and we'll see if there's buyouts to take place then, right? Now, Sam Bennett, who had a great run with the Florida Panthers and realized his potential in Florida, cashes in on it. 4 years, $4.4 million a season. So $17 million contract. Well, 17.6. But anyways, yeah, Bennett gets paid. And based on how he played for Florida, absolutely worth it. We'll see whether or not that continues through a full regular season this coming year, right? So yeah, all the best to Sam Bennett. I've been a big fan of his game in the playoffs. We'll see whether or not that translates to the regular season this coming year. Nick Jalmerson. This leaked out yesterday that this was going to happen. It's been confirmed today that Nicholas Jalmerson has retired from the National Hockey League over his career. 821 games played, 25 goals, 147 assists, 172 points. Not a player known for his points. Of course, three Stanley Cup rings as a Chicago Blackhawk. This past season, he played 41 games, had the 5 assists, but he's known more for his physical presence. So, all the best to Nick Jalmerson. And again, may not be one of the better known players from the 2010, 2013, 2015 Hawks, but a key player on their blue line. And they definitely missed him when he left. So yeah, Jalmerson is done. And I would expect there'll be more retirements getting announced as the summer goes along, right? Jake Virtanen has cleared waivers. And I know I've seen a lot of people saying, well, he'll get picked up, or this team will pick him up. The problem with Virtanen really has been, he showed up to camp out of shape. During the shutdown, he was out partying, and everybody knew, and there were pictures all over the place. He's just the thing with Virtanen has been the maturity issue, and then you combine that with now the production on the ice isn't there either. I'm not saying no team takes a chance on him. I'm just saying that if/when that happens, keep your expectations relatively low at this point in time. And with Canuck news as well, Holtby not on waivers. The Canucks are still trying to trade Braden Holtby, and I would say with that cap hit combined with his stats being down for a second straight year, it's a tough ask that you go to a team and go, hey, so you want Holtby? We said no last time you asked. Stop phoning us. So what they hope for is that after the free agent market has settled out this coming week, that there's a team that'll circle back and say, okay, so we need a backup goaltender, and we'll pick up Holtby. So that's what the Canucks are hoping for. And then there's the other option, too, which Thomas Drance explained, which is that they have 2 guys who are eligible for arbitration. So they can go before an arbitrator, and before an arbitrator hearing, you can buy out a contract. So even if the hearing doesn't take place, if the hearing is scheduled, they could then technically buy out Holtby. And Dickinson has arbitration rights. Garland has arbitration rights. So we'll see what happens there, right? They have not signed yet, which with Florida, Reinhart hasn't signed yet. And according to Cap Friendly, Florida has $7.1 million left in cap space. So things are going to get tight in Florida unless they're trading somebody else out, right? Speaking of signings and being close to the cap, Vegas, I don't know where they're finding the money. So before anybody asks, I have no idea. I have no clue where they're finding the money. Apparently, Martinez is close to signing a 3-year contract at around $5 million, maybe a little bit above $5 million per season. He's worth it. Absolutely, he's worth it. I have no idea where Vegas is finding the money for this. I'll be curious to see. They have to trade somebody else out right now. But Vegas, yeah, they spent a lot of the season, regular season, above the cap, round the cap, right near the cap. So they are not shy about being at or over the cap. And if they can't ice a full team, well, then we can't ice a full team. They did that numerous times this past season. So maybe we're going to see it again this year. I don't know. Speaking of trying to move money around, the Chicago Blackhawks, who've just acquired some defensive help with Seth Jones, and the debate about whether or not they paid too much for Jones is one that's out there, and I understand the concern. And I say that as somebody that I've been a Seth Jones supporter. This past year was rough for him, though. But now they're trying to move out Nikita Zadorov, who is a restricted free agent. And so we're going to see if there's a market for Zadorov at this point. He's only been in Chicago for 1 year. So we'll see how much they're able to get back for him. And for people who are like, they traded out Saad for him. Yes, but Saad is an unrestricted free agent on Wednesday. Chicago could bring Saad back. I would not be surprised to see Brandon Saad brought back by Chicago. You don't go out and pay $9.5 million a year for Seth Jones because you think you're going through a rebuild or a retool. You pay that money because you think that you're going to be able to get back into a playoff hunt. So it is possible that Saad ends up going back to Chicago. Would not shock me if he did. Jack Eichel. So here's the thing. Kevin Adams comes out and says, so I'm fine with Eichel being here until training camp. And if he's on the team in the next season, I'm fine with that. Eichel's representatives, his agents, came out and said, no. Our expectation is Jack's going to get traded, and that's still our expectation. So the expectation out of Eichel's camp is he's going to get traded. He can't hold out. He can't go anywhere else. We're not in the NHL of the late 90s where a guy would just say, well, I'm not showing up. And even though he has a contract, he just wouldn't show up. And that gets awkward fast. So we won't see that happen, but Eichel, when he's on and he's motivated and he's really engaged, he can be one of the best players in the league, bar none. But you can see when he's upset, and you can see when he's not quite 100% or when he's not quite dialed in. They don't want that Eichel out there while they're trying to trade him this October. So I would expect something to happen. But again, if their ask is high, they're right. The ask should be really high because whatever team gets Eichel is getting a legit first-line center who's a star in this league. And if he can bounce back from his injuries, he's going to be just fine. So that is something that teams will definitely be looking at. What's the status of his neck? What's going to happen with that? Is there a chance he's going to go back to wanting the surgery? Because right now he's been out skating, he's been rehabbing. So there's a lot of discussion there to be had. Julius Honka. Remember Julius Honka? He was the one restricted free agent that was still around 2 years ago. It was kind of a running joke that Honka was still an RFA. Remember him? Now he's going to be a UFA. Dallas did not give him a qualifying offer, so he will be an unrestricted free agent. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, you know what? I'll go ahead and predict he's going to Seattle. And then I found a tweet from the NHL on Twitter, and I went, yeah, I'll just say Honka's the biggest name on the market, and Seattle, and we'll see, right? Because again, Seattle's going to be looking to add depth. Honka's a depth guy. Maybe he's a number 7. Probably ends up playing in the AHL. But they're going to be looking for depth guys. That's one thing for Seattle that we'll be watching for on Wednesday is that they pick up and sign guys that it may lead people to say, why would they pick them up? They're going to be looking to add contracts so that they have guys in the American Hockey League and that they have guys they can call on when guys get injured, right? Qualifying offers are due today. So keep an eye on that. By tonight, we'll know who wasn't given a qualifying offer, and we'll be going to the unrestricted free agent market, which Ron Francis last week said he would be utilizing. He would be watching to see who didn't get the qualifying offers, who gets bought out, with the idea that he may be using their significant cap space to bring guys in and to find, players that they think will be a good fit for them. Now, an interesting postscript to all of this is if we're watching players, I'm watching Grubauer that apparently they're not at all agreed on a deal, and so Colorado has less than 2 days to make a deal with Grubauer, or else he goes to the market, which would really, really surprise me. And if Grubauer goes to market, I don't know how much he's worth. He's a Vezina finalist. But I agree with people that might say, well, that doesn't necessarily make him a top 3 goalie in the league. I would agree with people that would say that. But if Colorado loses Grubauer and Dubnyk's going to market and what's going on with Francouz, is he going to be good to go in October? I don't know what Colorado's goaltending is going to look like for next year. So while they're still the favorites to win the Cup next year, if they don't have a goaltender, that might be a little more difficult. So we'll see what Colorado does. And Toronto has not made an offer for Anderson, and that doesn't necessarily surprise me. I would think if Kyle Dubas is watching the market, he'll see Grubauer might become an unrestricted free agent, and he might be in on Grubauer. Because if you had a tandem of Grubauer and Campbell, that's not bad. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be an interesting next couple of days. And of course, we'll have the live stream here on Wednesday for the free agent frenzy, and we'll see how many big contracts are signed and by who and where players go, and how silly the money gets and how quickly. I think what we've seen already with some of the extensions being signed and trades being made before other extensions are signed, the silly money is still out there. Somehow, even with the flat cap, GMs are finding a way to spend a lot of money. Bennett at $4.4 million cap hit, he wouldn't have got that if he'd stayed in Calgary. He might have got two, might have got 1.5, because his production in Calgary wasn't very good and they didn't make the playoffs. But being in Florida, having a great run, pretty good in the playoffs, now he's worth $4.4 million for the next 4 years. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. A lot of subscriptions lately. I've been kind of taken aback at just how many subscribers have been picked up by the channel over the last few weeks. But hey, welcome. Thanks for showing up, and I'll talk to you again soon.